Retail is simple, but it's not easy. Customer service is everything that touches your customer. Never think of yourself as someone who sells products. You sell emotions. You sell feelings. You sell places where people want to be. 67% of people stop shopping because of perceived indifference. Relationships. Relationships are where you make your money in retail. Here's how the new model fits into that straight line. We have marketing, how to get people into your store. We have customer service, what to do once they're in your store. And then we have the bottom line. The age we live in right now, the circumstances that we're in as small store owners, is we don't need big ideas. We need to execute and implement. When you have a good idea, do it. Do it every time, and everybody in your organization do it. That's what successful retail is about. In 1981, I was 23 years old. I had a great big beard, a lot more hair than I have now. I had just graduated from college, and I had a problem. I did not want to get a real job. And about the same time, I took up a new hobby, kite flying. I bought a kite for a girlfriend who had everything. It was this big Peter Powell stunt kite. It had 2 lines, and you could make it loop and dive through the sky. It had a 100-foot tubular tail for aerial acrobatics, is how they described it on the packaging. They were great, great. 1974, International Toy of the Year. Very cool stuff. I loved everything about flying those kites. I loved everything about the experience. I loved being outside. I loved having the sun in my face, the wind in my hair, the color, the motion. It was great. Now, I didn't know what to do about my problem, but one day when I was flying my kites, it came to me. The solution to my problem came to me, and I immediately crashed my kites, walked over to my girlfriend and said, "Sharon, I'm going to open a kite store." And she looked at me and she said, "You should." And so I did. And less than 6 months later, the Mackinac Kite Company, one of the world's first kite stores, was open for business. Now, when I was hatching this store in my head, there was this wonderful vision of Steely Dan's Hey 19 playing on the stereo, and these cool, good-looking college kids giving customers exceptional experiences, and the store looked great. You know, the displays were professional. Everything about this store was cool. The problem was that vision that I had created and my reality were worlds apart. In reality, I had less than $2,000 in cash to work with. So my capital position was weak, to say the least. I had only 3 kites to my name until I had actually opened the store. So my product knowledge was slim at best. And I had only 6 months of retail experience, and that consisted of selling Roots shoes, the old hippie negative heel shoes, part-time. So, you know, my business experience was really essentially non-existent. The statistical odds of the Mackinac Kite Company making it through that first year were slim, to say the least. The statistical odds of the Mackinac Kite Company surviving 5 years were slimmer. The statistical odds of the Mackinac Kite Company still being a successful business today, being a multi-million-dollar company today, were minuscule. If you wanted to put a number on it, there would be a dot, a whole bunch of zeros, and then a number. But it is there. It is successful. It is a multi-million-dollar business. Now, one thing that we did, one thing that we knew, one thing that we understood was that it was about relationships. Relationships. We could create an experience, and from that experience, create a relationship. So one of the first reasons to develop an exceptional staff, a whiz-bang staff, is so that you can get your life back. You know, those people don't have a right to your head. They don't have a right to your mind. They don't have a right to your time. They don't. We need to understand that right now. They don't have that right, and we're going to go and talk about that. The second reason to develop a whiz-bang staff is because your customers deserve it. Your customers deserve somebody as good as you when they come into your store. So what we're going to talk about today is not lots of little, we're not going to talk about lots of little tactics. What I'm going to talk about today is that in order to get to this staff, this ideal, you know, that it exists in your head. Does everybody here know exactly what their staff would behave like if it was perfect in that real world? You know, you'd be working for them, exactly. So we have that ideal. Every business owner I talk to has that ideal, you know. When somebody comes into the store, they're going to be greeted within a certain amount of time. These kinds of questions are going to be asked. After the sale, everybody's going to attempt an add-on sale, an accessory sale. When they leave, you know, just all the little things that go into that customer experience. So we're talking about two reasons. One, for yourself, and the other reason for a customer. Yet, how many of us hired this way? So Chrissy needs somebody because somebody quit. So I quit yesterday. Chrissy needs somebody for Saturday because Chrissy's going skiing. So the first person who walks in the door, Chrissy pulls out her little mirror, puts it under her nose, and all of a sudden it fogs up. That person is breathing, that person is hired. Can you be here on Saturday morning, right? And then if they show up on time 7 days in a row, who are they? They're the assistant manager. I mean, isn't that the story? That's the story. Everywhere I go, that was my story. But let me tell you, having a great staff is not a series of isolated incidents. Having a great staff is a process. Marketing guru Jay Abraham says it so perfectly when he said this. He said, the secret to being successful in business is to fall out of love with your goods and your services and fall in love with your customers. I've coined it the big switch. And the big switch is when you take your head and you quit looking at your customers as transactions. When someone who walks in your store is not someone looking for a thing and is willing to pay for it with money, but when someone walks in your store, they are a person with whom you are starting a relationship. Because when you have a relationship with someone, they will come into your store more often. They will spend more money when they are there. They will send their friends, their family, their colleagues. They will send all those people to you. Their value will be immeasurable. Let me tell you my aha story. So I'm standing in my store, the Mackinac Kite Company, and I'm chatting up a younger grandmother. She was in her early 50s. And so we're having a conversation, and I happen to know she's got 5 grandchildren. And so I say to her, I said, so how often do you shop for your grandkids? And she stops, and she thinks about it for a second. She looks at me, and she says, forever. Now, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but it must have looked like somebody punched me in the face because all of a sudden I went blank when the math started to happen in my head. She had 5 grandkids, right? Now, in the toy business, we have 3 solid opportunities a year: Christmas, Easter, birthday. So that's 15 transactions a year. Times the average sale is $30. That's $450. Now, this woman was fit as a fiddle. I was sure she was going to live at least another 30 years. Meaning that she was worth $15,000 to me. Now, do I treat someone differently when they are standing there in front of me representing $15,000 than if they're standing in front of me representing with $29.99 worth of goods and services in their hands? Absolutely. Absolutely. Lifetime value of a customer. So tell me what business you're in. Most of you in this room would tell me the products that you sell. I was in the kite business. You are in the flower business. You are in the sewing machine business. And let me just suggest to you that until you really understand what business you are really in, you are going to have a difficult time establishing the kind of deep relationships that you need to establish, that you need to develop to be that super successful retail store owner. It wasn't until I got past the idea that I was in the kite business that I really started to grow. Because you know what? I wasn't in the kite business. I was in the fun business. I was in the take your family out for a wonderful day in the sunshine at the beach, creating memories business. You're not in the lawn and garden center business. You are in the I want to be a rose gardener and spend time communing with nature business. You are in the I'm not selling sewing machines. I am selling a way to find peace. A hobby that's relaxing, a way to connect to a skill that my grandmother had before me business. Never think of yourself as someone who sells products. You sell emotions. You sell feelings. You sell places where people want to be. That's what you sell. And when you get clear on that, boy, oh boy, all of a sudden, watch your sales explode. Here's why. Because once you understand the business you are in, you will understand that you need to know your customer. So instead of bringing that person up to your wall of shiny sewing machines and trying to sell them the most expensive model, all of a sudden you want to find out, what are you going to do with this machine? How are you going to use it? You want a singer because your grandmother had a singer. You know, all these sorts of things that help people connect with the experience they want to have. Now we're cooking. Now we're starting to get someplace. Because let's be clear about this, folks. The more you know, the better you can serve. And the better you serve, the more you will sell. Let me say that again. The more you know, the better you can serve. The better you serve, the more you will sell. So I challenge you today. I challenge all of you. Leave this room. Go back to your stores. Go back to your communities. Go back to your staff. Be someone different. Be someone who has made that big switch. See your customers through a different set of eyes. Treat your customers in a different way than you ever have before. Love your customers, and you will find that the money surely will follow. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I look forward to spending time on the phone discussing how I can help make your convention or conference the very best ever. When you hire me, your audience will get someone who has been there and done that. They will go home with nuts and bolts, practical, to-the-point skills that they can use in their business immediately. It will help make your next convention their best ever. I look forward to talking to you.